Good morning, good afternoon, colleagues. This is going to be more of a Petit Comité workshop. We'll be starting now to be honest with you and for the honor of time as well. But we will record this session, so anyone who is joining us later will have access to the whole video. So first off, I will introduce myself. My name is Mar Companjalet. I'm working in the UN Women Regional Office for Latin America and the Caribbean. And I'm supporting R4B platform as the gender focal point, as well as co-leading the human trafficking and smuggling subsector. So happy to see you here. If you want to introduce yourself in the chat, you're welcome. Then we know who we are and from which context and countries we work. I'm gonna share with you also a form, so we have registration of this participation in this workshop, as it's very important for us. And without further ado, I will start this workshop that consists of introducing the gender and age marker. The GAM is a tool that R4B has been promoting, like actually from the beginning, as it's international tool that helps us to mainstream gender, age, disabilities, and the intersectional actually perspective, no, to our humanitarian response across the region. But before going into detail, I'm very, very happy that Fernanda from the reporting and monitoring area join us, because she will give us the glance of the whole process, no? Because the GAM is inserted in the RMRP 2025-2026 process planning that really is complex. So Fernanda, thank you for being here, and I give you the floor in order to have this bigger picture, let's say.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mar, and good morning to everyone. Yes, I'm going to explain a little bit about the process. I think most of you already participated in the previous webinar we had, but I just wanted to give you a quick summary. So as you know, the submission process consists on two main platforms. First, we have the Excel template, where each partner is requested to submit all the information regarding the activity that is being planned for the response. So that's the first Excel that you have on the top left corner of your screen. And that is something that will take you some time, depending, of course, on the quantity of activities that you're planning to do. Also, in advance, you need to complete that gender and age marker, which is the focus of today's session. And that's going to take you around 20 minutes, that two things. Again, it would depend on the quantity of activities, but in average, that's the time. And that's the main and first step. After you have that information completed, then you go into the submission platform, which is going to be opened this Thursday, 5th September, until the 22nd. So those are the key dates that you need to mark on your calendar. And that's the platform where you will be able to submit the template and also to include the results of your GAM marker. So in that platform, you can include all the details also related to the organization, contact, email, country, and upload the Excel document and the GAM reference code, which are the steps 5 and 6 on your screen. Additionally, in this same submission form, you will have to complete a few questions on accountability to affected population and sexual exploitation and prevention of sexual exploitation and abuse, which will take you around 5 minutes. There are 7 questions. And then we have also centrality of protection questions that will also take you about 5 minutes. The last part of the submission form includes also some questions on how are environmental considerations taken into account in the planning process. And that's what we call the environment marker. And that will take you, could be 5 minutes up to 10 or even 15, depending on how many sectors are you covering. Because the environment questions will depend on the actual sector. So for example, if you're conducting activities in shelter and in WASH, you will have around 2 or 3 questions for each sector. So keep that in mind. And after you have completed all the form, the information, you just click on submit and you will be getting a confirmation email to the contact email you included in the form. And that's the last stage. If you don't see it in your inbox, just please check your junk folder, because sometimes it goes over there, but you should be able to receive it. So this is just a quick glimpse of the process. We have uploaded all the related information, the templates, and the previous webinars and documentation on our key resources site, where we will also be uploading this video. So I'm gonna just leave the link here in the chat so you can have access to it. And please let us know if you have any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernanda. I think it was very useful, this context, and also here we will share this PowerPoint presentation as well. And here I copied the YouTube session where you explain in more detail the process of submitting the activities and all these different steps. So you will also have access in this presentation. So thanks again, Fernanda, for your support, and welcome to the new colleagues that joined. As I was saying, this will be recorded and you will get the also instructive, let's say, like a guideline for the GAM that will be as well uploaded in the key resources section, as Fernanda was saying. So just a brief introduction to the key elements of GAM for the ones who didn't know this tool before. For the ones who know, just a quick refresh, is a tool designed by the Interagency Humanitarian Coordination Committee. This means is a tool that is used worldwide. Is managed today by OCHA, was created thanks to the GenCap, the gender project of the ISSC, but today is managed by OCHA. And what is interesting about this tool is that allows really to reflect on how to mainstream gender, age, and disability in our humanitarian programs, right? So it's a tool that is designed for this planning process that we are in here in R4B, but other HRPs and different humanitarian planning processes use, no? Responds to the principles established in different international frameworks on the inclusion of the intersectional gender approach in the response to the refugee and migrant population as well. And as I was saying, it goes beyond gender, let's say, no? What it wants to really enhance is the intersectional approach. So looking at other variables like age, disability, sexual orientation that really need to take into account in order to better address humanitarian needs. There's an online questionnaire, is a COBO as well, that identifies the degree to which the gender approach is included. No, so there are, now you will see better, but there are 4 scores between 0 and 4, and it gives a reference code that then leads to the whole answers, no, that the organization or agency replies. So just to give you a little bit of base, R4B is is working and from the beginning, aimed at really pushing forward the gender analysis and in general, gender mainstreaming. And therefore, we have a guidance note that you can check in the key resources, but also here, I put the link, and it's basically a guidance note on how to take into account the gender perspective in the needs analysis. That it's would be the foremost step that needs to really mainstream gender. We have a gender analysis, then activities and indicators and the evaluation will be easy to take into to carry out, because the information on the different needs and the different obstacles and let's say also challenges will be in place. We will know about them. So therefore, the activities and indicators and the capacities in order to bridge those gaps, bridge the gender gaps, will be easy to put in place. And also, from the beginning, we really take into account the New York Declaration for Refugees and Migrants that already include the importance of mainstreaming gender in this declaration, and also the empowerment of all women and girls, and fully respect and protect the human rights of women and girls. Therefore, it's mandate that RMRP fully took from the beginning, and that's a tool that allows us to walk this path. So these guidance notes, for instance, what give us is the understanding of 4, let's say, goals, that we achieve if we have this gender analysis, from the beginning. The first is integrating a gender approach ensures that needs, differences, and human rights of women, girls, boys, and men in their diversity will be understood and addressed. Second, that gathering available information that is supported by data disaggregated by gender and age makes it possible to leverage gender context. And gender context means like understanding the structural gender inequalities, but also the let's say disproportionate impacts on those who are affected by the humanitarian crisis, or the crisis or emergency that we are responding to. Third, recognizing the importance of participatory processes involving men and women throughout the project cycle, and this importance accelerates the closing of gender gaps, meaning that the humanitarian response must contribute to closing gender gaps. Sometimes it's something related more to development programming, public policies programming, but humanitarian has also a mandate to contribute to closing these gaps, And in order to do that, participatory processes are really important. And fourth aspect is promoting the inclusion of a gender approach implies having indicators, objective, and specific activities. This means that, and that's why we will put a lot of emphasis to monitoring and evaluating, because if we have a good gender analysis, but then we lack gender disaggregated indicators or specific activities that aim at closing gender gaps, then the impact that we can have will be at least hard to monitor. Therefore, we will see with this tool, the gender and age marker, that monitoring and having the good monitoring tools is key. So, looking at the GAM, a key, let's say, key group of questions, there are 4 areas. Let's say the first one looks at the gender analysis. So whether the project and the activities had this gender analysis, in the beginning, if the need assessment incorporates the gender data, if it includes LGBTI people's needs, if it includes the disability approach, no? So taking a look at this first important aspect, that is the gender analysis. The second group of questions refers to tailor-made activities. So if the project, no, once it's designed, and that's a reflection, that's a totally reflection exercise, how is the differential approach incorporated in the proposed actions? No, how will assistance be adapted to the different groups? So after the needs assessment, how we tailor the activities so that these activities address some of the gender gaps or etc. The third group of questions consist and are about the participation. So how the beneficiary populations participate in the activities, and if this participation is composed by men, women, and from different ages and other variables. No, participation, we will see, it's very important, and the gap marker also looks at the influence. So not only consulting, for instance, communities, but also measuring the influence, no, of those participatory processes, if they really, in the end, influence our programming or not. No? And last but not least, benefits. So it means we will measure if our indicators allow us to identify whether we are meeting the needs with the differential approach. No, what I was referring to briefly about how the importance of having disaggregated indicators and indicators that really measure this impact that we want to have around gender inequality in the humanitarian project that we are implementing. So the process for accessing to the tool. First thing, we design a step-by-step guide in English and Spanish that will be accessible in the key resources area in the R4B website. We think tomorrow the Spanish version will be available and the English one in the end of this week. This is a step-by-step with very, very detailed explanations. And besides that, you will have this video and the PowerPoint presentation. And in the end, you will also have my contact and my colleagues from Colombia contacts as well. If you have any doubt or question, we will be very happy to help you. Second thing, here you will have the link to the Kobo of the GAM tool. There's a way that is like just to try, it will not register the answers, but it's to try. That is the one that I'm going to show you now. And you'll have to take into account two informations that then you will have to put in the RMRP activity submission Kobo, let's say, that I'll show you now. That is the GAM code and the reference code. And then exactly just to put it in the submission in the Kobo that Fernanda showed us. Okay, so the GAM codes. When we talk about the GAM codes, it's the scores that you can have once you register all the information in the plan. No? So it goes from 0, that means the proposal does not integrate any kind of actions regarding age, gender, and disability, and 4. So starting from 1, it means that the actions do not respond to gender, age, or disability differences, nor do they address the different needs of a specific group of interest. This means it's the typical project that provides the same response for different people. No, so it's a standard project. Let's say it gives the same response. Let's say aid or activities to different people. Let's say. Number 2, The score 2 is actions attempt to address age or disability differences, but without attention to gender equality. There are no activities that disaggregate no men, women, LGBTIQ. There are no activities really no differentiated according to gender. The third score is the actions are intended to contribute to gender equality, but without paying attention to age groups and or people with disabilities. No, as we were saying, we not only want to push forward an adapted response to men, women, no, girls, and boys, but we also want to go further, understanding the age groups and the different obstacles that people with disabilities, men or women with disabilities, face, no, in accessing aid or participating in different activities. And the fourth would be the higher result, means that the actions are intended to contribute to gender equality in all age groups and or including people with disabilities. Okay. So just before going to the platform and showing you a little bit how is the process, we were thinking that it's very important to know what we have been doing so far from the R4B platform, because since 2019, more or less, we have been working with this tool. All R4B partners have been using GAM, and we can know, we can analyze a little bit the, let's say, the results of the GAM, but then the implementation. No? Although we need to strengthen our monitoring, and we will hopefully do that the next years. So far, we've seen that in the last RMRP, 23-24, 344 organizations. And with these very positive results, no, that 94% of these organizations incorporated gender and age and disabilities perspective, and including that the 80% included gender equality measures. So overall, it's a really very positive outcome. But also from UN, we were thinking, from when does it just reflect the GAM process, or we can also look the implementation and we can see this reflected to implementation, that in the end is what we care for. We want the GAM tool to be, to catalyze change in the implementation. So what we did is to analyze a little bit the 5W, or the activity info, that all national platforms and sectors report. And what we saw is that most of the activities benefit adult women. Adult women are the most participant, the most benefited in the R4B partners activities. 20% girls, 90% adult men, and 18% boys. What we saw is that the least beneficiaries are LGBTIQ people. And here, of course, we can have an under registration, but it's something that we see as very relevant to share. And also the people with disabilities. We saw that the benefit of the activities and the participation in the activities were at least, we registered less people with disabilities than what we should expect, seeing the high amount of people with disabilities in the region and with humanitarian needs. And furthermore, what we also analyzed was, where did these women, men, boys, girls, people with disabilities, LGBTI people participate? And interesting what we saw, because on one hand, we saw that there was an increased participation of women. So the integration sector was the sector that had the most participation of women. And here, what we saw is that the integration sectors, like both regionally, but at national levels, push forward a lot gender analysis and studies about what were the gaps in integration by women, and how to overcome those. So we see a big effort in the integration sector, while in the WASH, housing, education, and protection, we see greater participation of men. Of course, these are analyses that we cannot make conclusions just with this data, but it reflects a little bit dynamics, that we can further analyze this new RMRP, because it really makes a difference, to have more tools to analyze the differentiated needs and challenges, for women and men in the different sectors. It really leads to a different response. So we just wanted to share with you this data because it really reflects that the GAM work, besides this moment, it's important, and that UN Women will try to strengthen this monitoring as well, hand in hand with the sectors. So I'm going to stop sharing this presentation because I will go to the platform of the GAM. If you have any questions or doubts, feel free to interact me and ask me any questions also in the chat. And I will also share with you the form. So I appreciate if you can fill it up, because then we will have the registration of the ones who participated. And now, okay, now I'm sharing the screen with the GAM platform. Can you see it? I assume yes.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Flavia. Good to see you here. So this is the platform. As you see, it's a Kobo, and as I was saying, there's these two options, like the test or an actual project. I'm going to go for the test as I will just show you, but it's important if you want to just try, you can practice in this modality. As I was saying, it's a big platform used by like every country that has a humanitarian coordination and planning architecture. So it's better to test if we don't want to implement the project. So starting by the project phase, there's the design phase and the monitoring phase. We will now focus on the design phase. However, next year, when like after 1 year of implementation, we will try to also apply the monitoring phase as we think it's going to give us very interesting insights. But so far, design phase, and we go next. Here, there's the contact details. That's important because if there's any incident, we can contact the person who sent the information of the GAM. So I will put my name here, just show, because otherwise I will not be able to. And additional context if you feel, but it's not obligatory. Next, here it asks about the basic information like type of organization. I will put here an agency, and here it's all registered. So you just have to find yours, young women. And it comes a project name. Here, when we talk about the project, it's not a specific project, but the response in 25-26 that your organization, agency, NGO plans to provide, plans to implement. This can be then like, I don't know, protecting migrants and refugees. No, it depends on, but just a project name that let's say represents your work, and the years will be 25 and 26. No? Project country, I will put Peru just for this test. And here there are the different sectors where your project, your implementation will target. Then I will put, for instance, gender-based violence and livelihoods. I want to say that sometimes these are general sectors or clusters, but of course the diversity means that maybe you want to, you have activities in the integration sector and it's not represented here. So what we recommend is to try to find the one that adjusts, and that is more similar. So maybe integration is not here, but maybe livelihood is the most similar, or education. Like what we recommend is, or also other, but what we recommend is to try to donors. If there is a donor that you would like to be able to access this GAM, is also recommended to put it maybe Canada. That's one most interested in the gender impacts of projects, but maybe not. That's really optional. But it's also interesting because we want donors, and in general, the whole humanitarian community to be more, to contribute more, to the gender mainstreaming. So if this is important and relevant for your organization, feel free to GAM relevance. So that's the last stage of this first part. GAM relevance means before registering all the information, it's important to tick this in case you don't think the GAM is relevant to your project. So if you believe that gender, age, disability are not relevant or applicable to your activities, please confirm. And when it's not relevant, when the project has no contact with affected people, when the project has no influence on the selection of goods and services, and when the project has no influence on how goods and services are delivered. So in these cases, you can tick. Well, in the case of young women and in this test, we will not tick these options as it's very relevant for us. Next, we start the needs analysis area. That is the first one in the design phase. Just to let you know, anytime if you forget something, etc., you can go back, and you can also return to the beginning, and everything is saved. Okay. So starting with the needs analysis, that is the first group of questions, as I was interested in before. Analysis. Here, what we are asked is to introduce in a narrative that is less than 150 words. We recommend you to do that in a Word separate. So in case the internet goes off or electricity or whatever, you still have the responses in a Word. And also because then you can calculate the words, so it's easier. But here, it's a brief description on the gender inequality in the context you're and gender inequality in this broader sense, so including inequality regarding also age groups, disabilities, sexual orientation, and any other inequality that matters, and that is important to the project. So who is more disadvantaged and why? We don't want here policies, but more about your main, let's see, yeah, information about this kind of analysis, no, first-hand analysis. Then, if there is a written needs analysis in the proposal, indicate if this needs analysis, no, discusses the needs of different groups in the affected population. Of course, a needs analysis is a must, no, but sometimes does not entail as it should, or in depth, no, different needs according to different groups, no. So here you have to pick one of the three, depending on if this needs analysis comprises the needs of different groups in the affected population, if it goes a little bit farther and includes also issues and barriers faced by different groups, or then, of course, if you don't have a needs analysis yet, it's okay. You can also tick this option. No, otherwise you pick the other two. If you pick one of the first ones, the platform will also offer you different, like a more accurate and in-depth questions, no, about the analysis, about whether the analysis is concerned on gender, age, and disabilities, no. So starting with age, with gender, sorry, it's interesting to see, no, if the analysis includes specific information on needs of women, men, or it's not disaggregated by gender. No, it's just there is a need of, I don't know, wash facilities. Okay, for whom and why, and no. So here you can tick if it just men, or if just women, or if it's all gender groups, or if it's not considered. No, if we, for instance, put all gender groups, then another option comes up, that is the analysis considers the situation of LGBTI and other gender groups that are relevant in this context. And here you can put yes or no, not yet, no. Here what we want to stress is it's okay if you now don't have in the analysis this specific consideration, right? What we want is like an honest exercise in order to be able to monitor, no, what we have, and also to strengthen what we don't have, no, our weak points. So it's okay to not get a super big result, but it's better to to be realistic with your own capacities. So let's say we don't have this analysis, no, of the situation of LGBTI people. It's okay with about the age, no. Here as well, like multiple choices. You can choose whether the needs assessment includes, no, needs from these different age groups. Maybe because of your activity, you don't work with, I don't know, young children. Therefore, of course, you will not, or you might not have that information about this age group. So let's see, we put this too. And then finally, about disabilities, no? Here we look at whether the analysis includes the situation of people with disabilities. And we go a little bit further and we are asked, no, whether this analysis is in general, like people with disabilities in general, or we have looked a little bit, no, more into detail, whether how are, no, the needs, and which are the needs of female with disabilities, male with disabilities, no? Let's say we did that. And here, yes, it's required, so I need to write something. Tailoring the activities, no, or the adapted assistance. Now is we come to the second group of questions that consist of the activities and how we tailor our assistance or our work with communities. And the first question is, the proposed assistance will be tailored to address, and you have 4 options, no? You can only pick one. The first is the needs of different groups in the affected population. The second one goes a little bit beyond, no? The needs, issues, and barriers faced by different groups in the affected populations. The third is the project is solely focused on addressing gender-based discriminations. And the fourth is the assistance is standard, the same for, no? Same as before, we pick, and according to what we pick, some other options appear, no? So, for instance, if we pick the first one, here, same as before, we are asked to go, okay, a little bit further, no? So these assistance will be tailored based on the needs of whom, no? Of which gender groups? Only women, only men, or in general, no? Gender not considered. Same with age, no? The assistance will be tailored based on needs of age groups, and same with disabilities. So I will take this. And then here, before finishing this section, what is the most interesting question for me, and that leads to a reflection, no, in the organization, is, do the activities aim to modify or change gender roles or gender relations? Yes or no, not yet. Why is important this question? Because while you can be, let's say, having this gender analysis in the beginning, this is not translated to closing gender gaps just for the sake of having a gender analysis. No, you have to tailor specific activities in order to first get to those affected populations that were facing barriers because of their gender, age, or disabilities. No, but then in a second place, if you registered, no, if you found any kind of gender role or gender relation that is discriminative, no, and that is imposing a barrier or a stereotype, or even causing violence, then there are activities that you may carry out in order to, with intention, modify and contribute to change. Therefore, if you plan to do these activities, it's marvelous. You can put yes. Otherwise, you can put no and not yet, and think, whether this is possible, whether I have the capacities, whether I have the teams, the tools, whether I have the partners to do that, or not yet, And just to finalize this section, here there's also a narrative part where you're invited to discuss how assistance will be tailored to reach groups of concern identified in the above analysis, And the recording of your response is recommended for monitoring what we were saying, that it's important in order to, okay, what we wrote in the beginning, how are we going to keep track of what we planned. So here there's a place to explain that, and also to check a little bit later by the same person who registered that, or the team. Okay, we are now in the third area of questions, that is its participation and influence, So the first thing that we have to reflect on is how the documents, the proposal documents of the project have or include how affected people will participate in and influence the following process of the project management. So since assessing the needs, designing activities, delivering assistance, to monitoring and revising the project. Their participants and also influence, which is not the same, in these 4 stages of the project management cycle. We can pick more than one, and we can also click the last one, that is that they are not involved in project management. It's okay. If we So far, we don't establish these spaces with affected populations. It's very recommended to do so otherwise, but we can pick this last part and think how can we really facilitate and create these spaces with the community and with different leaderships, including men, women, and all the different age disabilities, etc., in order to really grasp their own reality. So, for instance, we pick these two, and here we are asked which gender groups will directly influence project management, because we can, for instance, organize a focal group with local leaders, but in the end, what we see is that all of them are old men, which can be very, very insightful, but we lack different perspectives, or we can end up only with women leaders, but maybe they are only young women leaders, but then we lack different age groups and also gender. So in the end, it's very important to also look at this aspect in the participation and in this, let's say, spaces where we also, it's part of the accountability strategy of our organizations and missions. Same with age groups. If we establish these spaces of participation and influence to different age groups and people with disabilities, same. And in the end, for reflection as well, a space where we can discuss on how different groups of affected population, of affected people will participate in and influence the project. So the tools, basically, our strategy, gender focal groups, I don't know, consultations, interviews with local leaders, all the strategy that you will implement. And here's the last stage. This is the benefits. And here what we look at is the indicators, basically. It's the tool in order to track our implementation and the impact that we have. So the first one is the proposal contains at least one indicator that will measure benefit for people in need in these ways. So the first one is at least one indicator will measure whether needs are met. The second is at least one indicator will measure whether activities are delivered. That is a little bit different. And indicators are not related to the needs or activities. And in the end, there are no indicators. You can also pick, for instance, two that are the most frequent. And same, the question about the disaggregation of these different groups in the indicators. Our indicators will be disaggregated by gender, age, disability. Perfect. And here, okay, by gender, what does it mean? Is it just women, just men, or all gender groups? And same with age groups, which age groups will be disaggregated in our indicators. Let's say it's 2, and same with people with disabilities. And just to end this section, discuss how benefits for groups of concern identified in the analysis will be reported. And here is like, okay, of course you have to write your indicators, but also what is the strategy share? How do we collect the information in order to inform our indicators? In any moment, you can go back, for instance, if you want to change a response, it's totally next. So here we have the results. The first thing, the results is the gender and age marker code, which goes like this: 1 code per section, so 1 code per analysis, tailoring activities, influence, and benefits. And then one that is the overall code. The overall code is 4, which is the highest, And it says the project intends to contribute to gender equality, including across age and disability groups. And note that I didn't pick always the highest answer, no, the best answer. Sometimes I put not yet, or so it means that even there's no room for improvements. It's very no because the options were sensitive and sensitive of the gender, age, disabilities needs and different adaptations to that. So that's the first thing, the GAM code 4. You can either like make a screenshot and save it in another document or copy paste, but it's important to remember this and then put next. And here there will be the registration code, let's say, where all the information is saved. There's no code now because that's a test, but otherwise you have to, or that's a recommendation to have a screenshot of this of this part as well and submit. No, that's the most important thing. If you don't put submit, this data will not be registered. So screenshot of this, the code that will appear here, and submit. Okay, any questions? I will just go back to the presentation. Very clear. Okay, thank you. And I will now answer your question. Thank you so much. I'll just finish here and answer questions. So here is a little bit step by step. Exactly, that's how it will look like in the submission of the R4B COBO. Let's say that's in Spanish, but it will be the same. Like your reference number of GAM, that's the long number that it didn't appear in my case, but it will. And then the global code that is, for instance, 4, 3, 2, etc. Okay, that's the only two numbers that you have to include in the R4B submission COBO. There will be these guidelines that I was saying before. We will try to have them in the end of the week and in the key resources section of the website. And you can always contact me. And if you have any questions or doubt, I will be happy to help. So now I open the floor if you have any questions, and I will start with the question in the chat. What if the information on a need was received via report based on a mission with the government? Can this be considered need assessment? It may say that there is a need for safe space to offer GBV and child protection services, but may not provide the data by gender and age. In such a scenario, do we say yes to needs analysis or say no, not yet? Interesting. Aditi, do you want to add something else of this background or?
Hi, Mar. Sure.
Hi.
So in Guyana's context, we don't have a lot of assessments and analysis done. But we from time to time would receive do joint missions with the government and receive reports from RC or different UN agencies, and it may identify a specific issue or may I propose recommendations, but the findings wouldn't give you information like to say, okay, this particular gender is in need of this service more than the other gender, or give you any disaggregated information. Also, we may attend meetings with stakeholders and they may mention information such as an existing need for livelihood assistance or any form of assistance, but there isn't that data available to say, okay, this age group or this particular gender is in need, or persons with disability is more disenfranchised, or anything like that. So my question to you, when you're doing the first part, where we have to say whether or not an assessment or analysis was done, and then provide further information in when the form populate, do we say yes in such a case, or do we say no, not yet? That was a bit tricky for me.
Yeah, I understand. Well, for me, it's clear that there is no gender disaggregated data, although there, like as you were saying, there's a suggestion of the response. So, and the response looks at specific age groups or gender, which is GBB, that is basically targeting women. We don't know which kind of women, or other particularities, and child protection that targets children, but we don't know if boys, girls, and what kind, and if whether with disabilities or not, or what kind. So I would say it falls short a little bit, and I wanted to know, because that's very interesting. It allows us to reflect. In which organization do you work?
I work at IOM.
Okay, great. No, so yeah, I would say it falls short, as you say, and it's interesting to see how this, like, that's very common. These needs assessments are not disaggregated, but then the response at some point it is a little bit, or there's a decision to get to that activity that implies that you assumed gender dynamics or age dynamics. So but yeah, I would say that not yet. And then in the discussion, in the reflection, you can actually write that that there's a need of needs assessments that go a little bit beyond that. That would be my recommendation. What do you think?
Since I'm on the floor, just one more question I have.
Of
Sorry
course.
to be lengthy. Just for clarification, in preparing the GAM, entering the information, is based on entire submission. Say, for instance, we have 40 activities we're submitting. It's a overall response based on the program and not specific activities, if I
Exactly.
understand correctly.
Yes.
So we may very well have one activity that, say, for instance, under nutrition, we may be looking at specific age group, but that is only for that specific activity. The other activities are not separated by age group. Do we then, for that, given that it's just one out of the 20, do we tick that box to say it's disaggregated by this age group, or what? Just for clarity purposes.
Yeah, I would say if the most of the activities don't do that, I would put no, and then in the reflection, let's say, then include that. Like there has been some progress in order to include an age group disaggregation, and for that we have some activities targeting specific age groups, but it's not a practice that it's spread, that it's not fully mainstream.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No, thank you. And happy to help. And I have here another question from Shivanan, that is, in the first page under project type, is it design or monitoring? It's design, right? Because what we are doing is supporting the planning process, and some projects will be already designed, and under implementation in the following years, and some will be under the process of design. So, but what we do here is reflect on the design, and then in 1 year we will do the monitoring, let's say. So, any other questions, doubts, reflections? No.
One other.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay,
I didn't see the raise hand option.
don't worry, go ahead.
I'm wondering, is this form available now and can be accessed?
The form of the gum.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna share it now, so you can check.
Because some of the organizations have, even though you have your deadline there for 5th to the 22nd, some organizations have internal deadlines. And it would be useful if we can have access to it to already do this
Sure.
part when we finish with
Sure.
our activities.
Sure. I just copied it in the chat. You can access it from now.
Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Well, it was a pleasure to have this workshop with you. As I said, you can contact me. I'll be happy to help, or to Fernanda, maybe from the R4B platform as well. And anything else, we keep in touch. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Mar.